We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Vipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next hour. India's PM Narendra Modi en route to Russia's Kazan for the 16th BRICS summit. First BRICS summit since its expansion from 5 to 9 members. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken visits West Asia for new Gaza ceasefire push. Israel carries out new airstrikes in Beirut. In U.S., electioneering at its peak ahead of November 5 polls. Kamala Harris campaigns in 3 key swing states. Trump visits hurricane-hit North Carolina. Indian coastal states of West Bengal and Odisha on high alert as Cyclone Dana approaches. Landfall expected near Temple Town, Puri on Thursday. On to the top story this hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi emplanes for Russia's Kazan on Tuesday for the 16th BRICS summit. Prime Minister issued a departure statement, and I quote, "I am departing today on a 2-day visit to Kazan at the invitation of HE Mr. Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation, to attend the 16th BRICS summit. India values the close cooperation within BRICS, which has emerged as an important platform for dialogue and discussion on issues concerning the global developmental agenda, reformed multilateralism, climate change, economic cooperation, building resilient supply chains, promoting cultural and people-to-people connect, among others." The expansion of BRICS with the addition of new members last year has added to its inclusivity and agenda for the global good. Building upon the annual summit held in July 2024 in Moscow, my visit to Kazan will further reinforce the special and privileged strategic partnership between India and Russia. I look forward to meeting other leaders from BRICS as well. And during his Russia visit, PM Modi will not only take part in the BRICS summit, but will also hold key bilateral meetings with other top leaders in Kazan, including Russia's Vladimir Putin, to enhance India's foreign relations. DD India's Jessica Taneja reports for more from Kazan, Russia.
The visit, Prime Minister Modi is expected to hold bilateral meetings with leaders. These talks will focus on strengthening strategic partnerships and expanding cooperation in crucial sectors such as trade, defense, and technology.
This is a multilateral event, though of course there is always a provision for bilateral meetings on the sidelines. We are currently looking into the overall program of the Prime Minister. There are a number of requests for bilateral meetings.
28 heads of government and 5 international organizations will participate in the summit. Prime Minister's attendance will highlight India's growing diplomatic and economic engagement with BRICS, focusing on enhancing multilateral collaboration.
The city of Kazan has been prepared as the focal point of the summit, with BRICS insignia almost everywhere in the city. The summit's agenda would include both regional and global issues and also focus on political, economics and humanitarian partnerships among BRICS member nations. Security cooperation would also be a key feature at this event, since the leaders will be here with their high-level delegations to talk about more issues.
Prime Minister Modi's participation in the summit reflects India's increasingly significant role in shaping the BRICS agenda, particularly in areas like economic collaboration, global governance, and multipolarity. India's stance is consistent with its previous calls for reforms in multilateral institutions, emphasizing the need for these bodies to address the contemporary challenges of emerging economies. This focus on reforming multilateralism and fostering a multipolar world was reinforced by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar at the BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting in New York last month. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's attendance at the 16th BRICS summit offers a crucial platform for advancing India's diplomatic and economic objectives. With a focus on reforms, global governance, trade and security, India's participation will reinforce its strategic partnerships with BRICS and further its role in shaping a more equitable, multipolar world order. Jessica Taneja for DD India.
Well, let's give you a little background on BRICS. BRICS, that was BRIC in the beginning, is one of the most important intergovernmental organizations centered around the notions of multipolarity, demanding for decentralization of multilateral organizations and mutual cooperation. Envisaged in 2001 by Goldman Sachs banker as a possible group of fast-growing developing countries, it now also boasts to raise the voice of Global South. As many new members have joined in and more are keen to join the grouping, let's take a brief look in this report by DD India.
The leaders of BRIC countries met for the first time in St. Petersburg in Russia on the margins of G8 Outreach Summit in July 2006. After a series of high-level meetings, the first BRIC summit was held in Ekaterinburg, Russia on 16th June 2009. In September 2010, BRIC Group was renamed as BRICS after South Africa was accepted as a full member at the BRIC Foreign Ministers' meeting in New York. Accordingly, South Africa attended the third BRIC summit in Sanya City in China on 14th April 2011. A further expansion of BRICS took place in 2024 with 5 new members, which includes Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates. However, Saudi Arabia is yet to fully participate in the group's deliberations. India took over the BRICS chairmanship from Russia and held it until 31st December 2021. This was the 13th BRICS summit. The theme and approach of India's BRICS chairmanship was BRICS at 15, intra-BRICS cooperation for community, consolidation and consensus. Many firsts were achieved during India's BRICS chairship, which included BRICS Digital Health Summit, first BRICS Water Ministers meeting, adoption of BRICS Counter-Terrorism Action Plan, launch of BRICS Alliance for Green Tourism, operationalization of BRICS Agricultural Research Platform, and signing of agreement on BRICS Remote Sensing Satellite Constellation. On January 1st, 2024, Russia has taken over as the BRICS chair. The 16th BRICS summit under Russia's chairship will be held from 22nd to 24th October in Kazan in Russia. The theme of the summit is strengthening multilateralism for just global development and security. More than 250 BRICS meetings and other events have been proposed by Russia. The major activities for 2024 include integration of invited countries as full members of BRICS, further development of BRICS partner country model, and list of prospective partner countries and report by the next summit. Kazan BRICS Summit will provide an opportunity to member leaders to further strengthen the cooperation at a time when the world is facing 2 conflicts between Russia and Ukraine, as well as between Israel and Hamas. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, India-Russia cultural ties have been strengthened over the years. Students in Kazan have embraced art forms, leading to various collaborations. Jessica Taneja spoke with Angelica Day. Listen in.
We have with us Angelica Day. She's a medical student here in Kazan. Angelica, thank you for speaking to DD India. You've been living here for quite some time now. Talk to us about the cultural ties that you've been able to embrace while you've been here.
What I found fascinating about my city Kazan here is Kazan tries to celebrate all the cultural events that we celebrate in India, like the pujas, Durga Puja, Diwali, Holi, and also Ganesh Chaturthi, which we celebrate in the hostels as well. So I like the way people in Kazan try to celebrate the culture and tradition of India as well.
Right, and tell us about the significance of all of this and point out some examples to us if you can.
Kazan is a city where people from all religions, they stay together. Just like India is a secular state, I have seen that Kazan celebrates all cultures and traditions together. People from different countries, they live happily together here, and also people from different parts of the states of India, they're also living happily here. So that's a very lovely and a fascinating thing that I've seen from my first year of education here in Russia.
What's the one prominent thing about the Indian culture that the city has been able to embrace?
They like our festival. They like the food which we eat, because some find it spicy, but others find it very interesting, the way we cook it, the patience that we have while we cook it. And also they love Bollywood a lot.
Right. And Angelica, how do you plan to take this forward? You're a dancer, you've been part of many recitals. How does the future look like while you're here?
Since first year, I've tried to engage myself in different cultural events portraying the Indian culture. I am a dancer of Uday Shankar dance style, and I've tried to portray this dance style all across Russia. In Kazan, we celebrate an event called as Den Inostrany Studentov, where students of different countries, they put up their cultural performances in front of the audience. I've been a part of that too, and in future, I will try to expand Indian culture as much as possible here.
Right. Thank you, Angelica, for giving us those details.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And moving on, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz will pay an official visit to India from October 24th for the 7th intergovernmental consultations. The German Chancellor, along with PM Narendra Modi, will co-chair the 7th intergovernmental consultations on October 25th. The two leaders will also hold bilateral talks to discuss enhanced security and defense cooperation, greater opportunities for the mobility of talent, deeper economic cooperation, green and sustainable development partnership and collaboration in the area of emerging and strategic technologies. Discussions will also focus on important regional and global developments. Both leaders will also address the 18th Asia-Pacific Conference of German Business being held in New Delhi on October 25th. About 650 top business leaders and CEOs from Germany, India and other countries are expected to participate in the event. Chancellor Scholz has visited India twice last year for a bilateral state visit in February 2023 and to attend the G20 Leaders Summit in September 2023. India and Germany have a strategic partnership since 2000. The two countries are celebrating 50 years of science and technology collaboration also this year. And India's Finance Minister and Corporate Affairs Nirmala Sitharaman on Monday interacted with students of Columbia University in New York. The Indian Finance Minister also delivered a keynote address on India's economic resilience and prospects amidst a challenging and uncertain global environment. Sitharaman is currently on a two-nation visit to Mexico and US. The Indian minister also participated in an engaging fireside chat on India's decadal economic reforms and continued economic growth with Chairman and CEO of IBM, Arvind Krishna, at the Economic Club of New York on Monday. During her U.S. visit, the Indian Finance Minister held a meeting with the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of BlackRock, Lawrence Douglas Fink, in New York. The two discussed opportunities for global investors through NIIF and Gift City, as well as opportunities for financing of green tech and battery storage. Fink has informed Sitharaman that BlackRock is working with private partners in India, especially focusing on infrastructure development. Sitharaman also met Jane Fraser, the CEO of Citibank. The two discussed the use of AI in important sectors such as agriculture and urban development, as well as India's booming pharmaceutical sector and hub for the world. The finance minister also discussed India's banking sector in view of the decadal reforms and the way forward for India. She also lauded the crucial reforms India has taken for infra creation to build an ecosystem around MSMEs and said that it is important to make MSMEs a part of the supply chains. The Union Finance Minister took a tour of the National Historic Landmark and interacted with the floor operator in the iconic blue jacket, who conveyed to her aspects of trading at New York Stock Exchange, besides also showing the 11 Indian companies trading on the bourse. And to further foster defense ties between India and Singapore, Defense Minister of both the countries will co-chair the 6th India-Singapore Defense Ministers Dialogue in New Delhi on October 22nd. The meeting, chaired by India's Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and his Singaporean counterpart Dr. Ng Eng Hen, aims to carry forward defense cooperation between the two ties. Both sides will also exchange views on regional and global issues of shared interest. India and Singapore share a comprehensive strategic partnership partnership. The bilateral defense relations form a significant pillar to this collaboration. The engagements have diversified to include wide-ranging contacts between the services, military-to-military exchanges, high-level visits, capacity building and training programs, cooperation in U.S. peacekeeping, ship visits and bilateral exercises. And moving on, in West Bengal, junior doctors have called off their hunger strike after a 2-hour-long meeting with State Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee in Kolkata on Monday. The doctors had been on a fast unto death since October 5th, calling for justice for the RG Kar Medical College medic who was raped and murdered on August 9th. Doctors also announced to withdraw the proposed complete strike by all doctors, including the senior medical practitioners, which was scheduled for Tuesday. The protesting doctors, however, maintained after their general body meeting that their movement over the issue will continue. It was announced in the meeting that the safety of doctors and other staff members will be ensured at medical colleges and hospitals. Also, the CM directed to constitute a state-level 10-member task force with 5 representatives each from the government and the junior doctors. At least 1 woman will represent the junior doctors in the task force. And a team from the counterintelligence Kashmir conducted a raid at the residence of Mushtaq Ahmed Dar in Kulgam district and apprehended his son Shahid Ahmed Dar for suspected involvement in subversive activities. Labourer Shahid Ahmed Dar, 20, was taken into custody following the raid. During the search, the investigation team seized 2 cell phones from the residence, which are believed to be linked to the case. The CIK team is continuing its investigation and further details are awaited. And some weather updates now. Indian coastal states of West Bengal and Odisha on high alert as Cyclone Dana approaches. According to the Indian Meteorological Department, Cyclone Dana is likely to strike the North Odisha and Bengal coast between Puri and Sagar Island during Thursday night and early Friday morning as a severe cyclonic storm. Advising fishermen not to venture into the sea between October 23rd and 25th, the weathermen warned that wind speed is likely to reach 60 kilometers per hour along and off the Odisha West Bengal coast from Wednesday and gradually increase to 100 to 110 kilometers per hour, gusting to 120 kilometers per hour from October 24th night till October 25th morning. The weather system will bring light to moderate rain along the coast and in South Bengal, including Kolkata, beginning Wednesday. For Odisha, red warning issued of heavy to very heavy rainfall with isolated extremely heavy rainfall and thunderstorm with lightning in Puri, Khurda, Ganjam and Jagatsinghpur districts on October 24th. And still to come on DD India News Hour. US says it will be a dangerous move for North Korea to send troops to Ukraine. Peru ex-president Toledo sentenced to over 20 years on charges of bribe-taking. And as part of its routine, China's military began a live-fire exercise near Taiwan.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and moving on to launch another push for an elusive ceasefire in West Asia. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrives in Israel on Tuesday, aimed at reviving Gaza ceasefire talks. This is Blinken's 11th trip to the region since the attack on Israel by Hamas on October 7, 2023 that triggered the Gaza conflict. In a week-long trip, Blinken will visit Jordan on Wednesday and Doha as well, and will focus discussions on how to end the war. In his meetings with Israel and Arab countries, Blinken will drill down on day after issues, particularly security, governance and reconstruction. Having detailed plans for each of these has been seen as prerequisite for achieving any lasting resolution to the conflict. Also, the Secretary of State will discuss with Israel and other countries how to secure a diplomatic resolution to the conflict with Hezbollah and will continue Washington's conversation with the Israelis about their expected response to Iran's missile attack. The retaliation could disrupt oil markets and risk a further escalating conflict between the arch enemies. Though Hamas and Israel remain deeply at odds and are unlikely to make significant concessions before the November 5th U.S. presidential election, which could upend U.S. policy. Earlier, U.S. envoy Amos Hochstein held talks with Lebanese officials in Beirut on Monday on conditions for a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. He said the U.S. was seeking to determine what more needed to be done to make sure it was implemented fairly, accurately, and transparently. Meanwhile, an explosion occurred in Beirut on Tuesday morning as Israel continues its offensive against the Hezbollah in Lebanon. The explosion before daybreak caused sparks to fly into the air and released a black plume of smoke. Israel carried out severe strikes in Beirut's southern suburbs on Monday, including one near the Rafik Hariri University Hospital, the capital's main government hospital. The Israeli military said it struck a Hezbollah terrorist target near the hospital and the facility was not hit. It added that the armed group systematically embeds its terrorist assets into the civilian population. Israel says it aims to drive Hezbollah terrorists from the border region so tens of thousands of Israelis can return to homes they were forced to flee over the past year due to Hezbollah cross-border fire in solidarity with Palestinians during the conflict in Gaza. And Israel has accused Hezbollah of hiding more than $500 million in gold and cash in a secret bunker beneath a Beirut hospital. While saying there were no plans to attack the building, the Al-Sahel hospital in Beirut's southern suburbs was being evacuated following Israeli claims a Hezbollah cash bunker is located beneath it.
I am going to declassify intelligence on a site that we did not strike, where Hezbollah has millions of dollars in gold and cash. In Hassan Nasrallah's bunker. Where is the bunker located? Directly under El Sahel Hospital, in the heart of Beirut, in the Dakhia. This is the hospital. From both sides you can see an entry and exit. Those are entry and exit tunnel shafts for the underground bunker. The entrance is located in the Al Mahdi building and the exit is located in the El Sahel Center building. This is the bunker. It contains rooms, beds, and infrastructure for long stays and the ability to direct combat from underground. Hezbollah built this bunker directly underneath this hospital. There are hundreds of millions of dollars in cash and gold inside the bunker right now.
And for more on the West Asia crisis, we have Amit Mukherjee joining us. Well, Amit, Antony Blinken to make another push to defuse the conflicts in West Asia with his 11th visit to the region since the conflict started. Can we expect any diplomatic breakthrough there?
Well, Lipakshi, both UN as well as US has constantly been stepping up its effort to kind of bring about a ceasefire in West Asia, but as facts stand right now, there has been a shift in the kind of strategy which Israel has been deploying against all those who have been targeting its citizens and its cities. In fact, now Israel is focusing on eliminating all the financial, crippling the backbone. It's focusing on crippling the backbone, the financial backbone, which has been funding all these terror activities of alleged terror activities of Hezbollah. So, in a very sort of a calculated, attempt, it's kind of identifying all the financial institutions which have been supplying money, providing money to mobilize people's opinions in favor of Hezbollah. And in fact, yesterday also, Al-Qurd Al-Hassan, that's the financial institution which is linked to Hezbollah, that was attacked. It has about 30 branches in Lebanon, and Israel has identified, in fact, each and every office of this organization. And this organization, which was built in 1983, it was primarily to give loans to under Muslim laws, interest-free loans. Now, this particular machinery was being used by Hezbollah, as Israel says, to fund the entire operation. So the prime target now is this organization. And, in fact, yesterday in Syria, Israel also eliminated the financial chief. Apparently, the name has not been given out, but the person who has been eliminated in Syria was supposedly the financial chief of Hezbollah, and he was instrumental in transferring of funds from Iran into various accounts of Hezbollah, which are being utilized to kind of buy weapons and, fund these operations against Israel. So Israel is now looking at eliminating not only the depots, weapon depots, the launch pads, but it's also targeting the financial institutions, which is basically striking the base to kind of bring an end to the ongoing war and secure its citizens right now.
Right, Amit, as you rightly said, that once the funding is affected, of course, the dynamics of the whole situation will change. But US says UN Resolution 1701 alone is not enough and more needs to be done. And what is more worrying is Israel's response to Iran's missile attack.
That is absolutely correct. In fact, there has been a lot of, situation is very tense. And in fact, Iran has also appealed to the International Atomic Energy Agency that its nuclear institutions are also under threat because of the ongoing, strikes which Israel is carrying out. But yeah, we must remember that Israel so far has not responded to the 200 missile attacks which Iran had launched on its territory. In fact, the main Nevatim air base of Israel was also affected in the strike. And recently also Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel's private residence was also attacked. But despite the fact that Netanyahu has been saying that the proxies of Iran has done a very grave mistake by attacking his personal house, they are yet to respond to the Iranian attack, which was mounted almost 2 weeks back. So there's a lot of anticipation. And in fact, while strikes are on in Hezbollah's territories right now in Lebanon, Iran is also anticipating that something might happen. And in fact, we saw some reports which was leaked out of the US 2 days back, stating, giving a picture of the kind of assault Israel might launch on Iran. So
Right.
Those were the details that were leaked out. So there is a lot of anticipation. Talks are going right now, but as the ground reality stands, there's no stopping of the missile attacks, whether it's by Israel or by Hezbollah. So situation out there is very, very tense. Lipakshi.
All right, Amit, thank you so much for all those details. And moving on, China's military began a live fire exercise near Taiwan on Tuesday. Taiwan's defense ministry said that those exercises were part of routine Chinese training and it was keeping a close watch. However, the ministry said it could not rule out that it was part of China's expanding its deterrent effect in conjunction with the dynamics in the Taiwan Strait. China last week held a day of war games around the island Beijing views as its own territory, it said, were a warning to separatist acts. Premier Cho Jung-tai described them as a threat that undermines regional peace and stability. Over the weekend, a U.S. and a Canadian warship passed through the 180-kilometer Taiwan Strait, part of regular passages by Washington and its allies meant to reinforce its status as an international waterway. Beijing condemned the passage as disrupting peace and stability in the strait. And still to come, DT India News Hour. Power restored to most of Cuban capital Hawaii after nationwide blackout. Peruvian students work to preserve the endangered turtles, release many spotted river turtle hatchlings into the wild. Research shows ancient meteorite was like a giant fertilizer bomb for life on Earth. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. India's PM Narendra Modi en route to Russia's Kazan for the 16th BRICS summit, first BRICS summit since its expansion from 5 to 9 members. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken visits West Asia for new Gaza ceasefire push. Israel carries out new airstrikes in Beirut. In U.S., electioneering at its peak ahead of November 5 polls. Kamala Harris campaigns in 3 key swing states. Trump visits hurricane-hit North Carolina. In coastal states of West Bengal and Odisha on high alert as Cyclone Dana approaches. Landfall expected near Temple Town, Puri on Thursday. And moving on, with 2 weeks to Election Day in U.S., Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are intensifying their efforts to sway voters, especially in swing states. Kamala Harris, the Democratic candidate for the U.S. presidency, focused her efforts on attracting moderate voters in 3 key swing states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin and Michigan, with former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney to court undecided independents and Republicans. Harris said during the campaign event in Michigan that Trump would have Ukraine surrender to Russia if he won the November presidential election.
He would surrender. He would have Ukraine surrender its fight against an aggressor, violating its sovereignty. If Donald Trump were president, Vladimir Putin will be sitting in Kyiv.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump criticized the government's handling of Hurricane Helene during his visit to the hard-hit state of North Carolina. At a rally, Trump reiterated conspiracy theories about the government's response to the disaster. Trump doubles down on sharp attacks against his Democratic rival, adding that the vice president is a mess.
Kamala Harris does not have the compassion, the smarts, or the strength to be the president of the United States. She just can't do the job. She's a mess. She's a cognitive mess, and nobody wants to talk about it. And we can't have 4 more years. We had 4 years of it. We can't take another 4 years of it, can we? Did you ever hear the expression that the vote counter is far more important than the candidate? And unfortunately, we can't let that happen. We've got to take it back.
While U.S. President Joe Biden has honored acclaimed filmmakers, writers and others who have made their mark on American culture, awarding the prestigious National Medals of Art. Filmmakers Steven Spielberg, Spike Lee and Queen Latifah were among the 20 recipients of National Medals of Arts, while the 19 recipients of National Humanities Medals included playwright screenwriter Aaron Sorkin and historian John Meacham. The National Medal of Arts is the highest award given by the U.S. government to artists who have contributed to the cultural fabric of the country. In a ceremony at the White House in Washington, Biden also took a brief detour in his remarks to give a shout-out to Vice President Kamala Harris' run for the White House.
It's clear Jill and I, Kamala and Doug, our entire administration believe in the power of the arts and humanities. It matters. It matters now more than ever. This is a very consequential time for the arts and humanities in America. Extreme forces are banning books, trying to erase history, spreading misinformation. But because of you, I mean this, because of you, we keep our books open. You make history. We combat lies with truth.
And now some updates on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The Deputy United States Ambassador to the UN, Robert Wood, said it would be a dangerous and highly concerning development if North Korea is sending soldiers to fight alongside Russia in Ukraine in the United Nations Security Council on Monday.
We have seen reports the DPRK has sent forces and is preparing to send additional soldiers to Ukraine to fight alongside Russia. If true, this marks a dangerous and highly concerning development and an obvious deepening of the DPRK-Russia military relationship. We are consulting with our allies and partners on the implications of such a dramatic move.
While Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha met Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan in Ankara for talks on cooperation in the defense sector and the importance of free navigation in the Black Sea on Monday during a visit to Turkey. Turkey has offered to act as an intermediary to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict and has endeavored to maintain good ties with both Moscow and Kyiv. And Britain will lend £2.26 billion to Ukraine as part of a much larger planned loan from the group of 7 nations to help buy weapons and rebuild damaged infrastructure. Defence Minister John Healey said the money donated by Britain would be solely for Ukraine's military. He added the use of Britain's share of G7 loan had been a feature of talks between Ukrainian President Zelensky and UK PM Starmer in talks in London 2 weeks ago. And UK's Trade Minister Douglas Alexander said that the country wants to reset the relationship with the European Union. Speaking during a visit to Geneva on Monday, Alexander said Britain is urgently looking to reset its trading relationship with the European Union as 47% of the UK's trade is still with the EU. He added that international commerce is a key to reviving UK growth. Alexander said trade growth had a critical role to play in the Starmer government's defining mission of growing the British economy. Alexander was in Geneva to meet the head of the World Trade Organization. And Peruvian former President Alejandro Toledo was sentenced to more than 20 years in prison after he was convicted of accepting millions of dollars in bribes from construction company Odebrecht. Toledo was convicted of taking $35 million in bribes from the Brazilian firm in lieu of letting it win the contract to build a road that now connects Peru's southern coast with an Amazonian area in western Brazil. The verdict marks Peru's first high-profile conviction related to Brazil's continent-spanning Lava Jato corruption scandal. And Australia announced on Tuesday a $4.7 billion deal to arm its Navy with cutting-edge US medium and long-range missiles at a time of rapidly escalating military tensions in the Asia-Pacific. The agreement, hailed by Canberra as a significant milestone, retools Australia's naval defences in line with the new strategy unveiled this year to deter China's coercive tactics in the region. Australia said it would spend $4.7 billion to acquire the shipborne SM-6 missile, which can strike aircraft and cruise missiles, and the medium-range SM-2 Block 3C missile boasting new guidance and homing capabilities. And Venezuela announced the arrest of a former oil minister, Pedro Talchi, accused of links to a firm controlled by U.S. intelligence services on Monday. Attorney General Tariq William Saab said Talchi was detained along with his closest collaborators on Sunday for alleged grave crimes against the highest interest of the nation. Talchi is accused of handing over part of state oil firm PDVSA to a company controlled by U.S. intelligence services. Talchi vowed to clean up the oil sector after his appointment, but stepped down in August to become industry minister. And Moldovan President Maia Sandu came first in the initial round of the country's presidential election on October 20th with 42% of the vote, heading for a runoff on November 3rd. Pro-EU Sandu will face off against her main competitor, Alexander Stoangolo, who is supported by the pro-Russian Party of Socialists and gained roughly 26% of the vote in the first round. Preliminary results show that the pro-EU voters won by a razor-thin margin, securing 50.16% of the vote against 49.84% who voted no.
Thanks to you, dear Moldovans, we have won the first battle in a difficult fight that will determine the future of our country. We fought fairly and won justly in an unjust struggle.
Well, electricity is slowly returning to Havana, Cuba's capital, days after a nationwide blackout plunged the country of 10 million into total darkness on Friday. According to Cuban officials, power has been restored to almost 90% of Havana. Over the weekend, Havana was entirely blacked out at night, with streets largely deserted and only a handful of bars and homes running on small fuel-fired generators. The ongoing blackouts have led to food spoilage and a decrease in tourist activity cities, with some tourists cancelling their trips to avoid inconvenience. And tropical storm Oscar dumped heavy rain across eastern Cuba on Monday after making landfall as a Category 1 hurricane on the island already beleaguered by massive power outage. Storm left 6 people dead and caused severe damage in the eastern province of Guantanamo. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. 9 people, including 7 teenage members of a rowing team, were killed in a road collision in southern Brazil. The van carrying the team was hit by a truck that apparently suffered brake failure. Supporters of Cameroon's ruling party lined the road in a vibrant display of loyalty and enthusiasm as President Paul Biya and his wife Chancellor made their way back home after several weeks abroad. The return was a significant moment for Biya's supporters, who viewed it as a reaffirmation of stability in a time of uncertainty. Movie and television studio Alcon Entertainment sued Tesla and Warner Brothers over claims they used images tied to the film Blade Runner 2049 to promote Tesla's new autonomous cyber cab, accusing Tesla of using images created with artificial intelligence that mirrored the movie for its cyber cab event. California federal lawsuit alleged violations of U.S. copyright law and accused Tesla of false endorsement. South Korean researchers from the Mobile Robotics Lab at Seoul Tech have developed a new aerial cargo transportation platform called Palatron, which can be controlled by direct human interaction while maintaining in-air stability. Researchers are also exploring potential integrations with smart city infrastructures, enhancing the effectiveness of urban delivery systems. A group of Peruvian students teamed up with an indigenous community to release over 160 yellow-spotted river turtle hatchlings into the wild. More than 500 turtles have been procured and released with a 90% hatching success rate. The space rock that slammed into Earth 66 million years ago at the end of the Cretaceous period caused a global calamity that doomed the dinosaurs and many other life forms. But that was far from the largest meteorite to strike our planet. But as new research shows, that disaster actually may have been beneficial for the early evolution of life by serving as a giant fertilizer bomb for the bacteria and other single-celled organisms called archaea that help dominate at the time, providing access to the key nutrients, phosphorus and iron. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Facebook owner Meta restarts facial recognition tech trial in celebrate crackdown. In sports, India will host 4 ATP Challenger Tour events next year in February. And we'll show you how Times Square, New York City dazzled as Indians and Americans celebrated the approaching Festival of Lights.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. On to some business news now. India's civil aviation scheme meant to make air travel more accessible and affordable, Udan, has been extended by another 10 years after completing 8 years on Monday. On the occasion, India's civil aviation minister Ram Mohan Naidu also announced plans to make hoax threats made against airlines a cognizable offence after over 100 bomb threats were reported in a week. The government plans to amend safety laws and add hoax callers to the no-fly list.
In a major move to tighten aviation security, India's Civil Aviation Minister Kinjarapu Ram Mohan Naidu has announced strict action against hoax threats targeting Indian airlines. To combat this growing menace, the government is planning to make hoax threats a cognizable offence.
At multiple levels, we have been having these meetings, and everyone we have taken in suggestions, opinions of all of them. And from the ministry, we have thought of some legislative action also, if it is required, which direction should be moved. And we have come to the conclusion that there are two areas that we can explore. One is the amendment in aircraft security rules. Once we catch hold of the perpetrator who is behind this, we want to put them in the no-fly list. We are definitely pushing forward to bring a change in the Suwaska Act also, so that it addresses for these kind of offences which happen when the flight is on ground, so that we can take strict action on them. We can make it cognizable offence.
The government has announced an extension of the Udan scheme also for another 10 years. India's airport network has doubled from 74 operational airports in 2014 to an impressive 157 in 2024, with the bold vision of expanding to 350 airports by 2047.
So taking a cue from the success that Udan has achieved over the past 8 years, we are envisioning the Udan scheme for furthermore 10 years. We want to take it forward for 10 years because in the next 5 years we are planning to start 50 more airports or enhance the capacity of the existing airports. We are making continuous changes in the policy to encourage more MRO sector to come into the country. We have done that for a long time, and now we are speeding up that process. Industry is also happy with the changes or the policy changes that the government is making. So we see a growth that what is $2 billion industry right now in the country for MRO is going to grow up to $4 billion. It's going to double itself in the next 7 years.
Over the past 8 years, 601 routes have been operationalized, connecting 71 airports, 13 heliports and 2 water aerodromes. This has led to the travel of more than 1.44 crore passengers on more than 2.8 lakh flights. Udan has played a vital role in the rise of regional airlines, generating jobs and boosting tourism. Tapush Bhattacharya's report, Dairy India.
Well, 3 years after Meta.O shut down facial recognition software on Facebook amid a groundswell of privacy and regulator pushback, the social media giant said on Tuesday it is testing the service again as part of a crackdown on celeb bait scams. Meta said it will enroll about 50,000 public figures in a trial which involves automatically comparing their Facebook profile photos with images used in suspected scam advertisements. If the images match and Meta believes the ads are scams, it will block them. And striking machinists at Boeing will vote on a new contract proposal that includes a 35% pay hike over 4 years that could end a costly 5-week-old strike. Around 33,000 of Boeing's unionized West Coast workers, mostly in Washington state, have been on strike since September 13th. The work stoppage has halted production of models, including its best-selling 737 MAX narrow-body jets. And the Canadian dollar recently fell to a near 11-week low against its U.S. counterpart, driven by a disappointing inflation report that raised concerns about the country's economic outlook. This dip reflects broader market reactions and the impact of monetary policy on the currency. Canadian dollar coin Ione was also tracked trading by 0.3% lower after touching its weakest intraday level since August 6th. And Asian stocks turned lower and the dollar stood by multi-month peaks on Tuesday as traders remained cautious amid rising geopolitical tensions. China's markets were pinned well below recent highs while traders wait for more details and especially more government urgency and spending to support the ailing economy. Wall Street gorges edged down overnight, whereas Japan's Nikkei slid 1.1% in morning trade. Experts predict the trade may hit its lowest since early October. Euro traded to its lowest since early August. Well, you're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for some sports news. The All India Tennis Association said on Monday that India will host 4 ATP Challenger Tour events next year, starting from Chennai on February 3rd. The federation confirmed in a post on X saying after Chennai, the next 3 tournaments will be held in Bengaluru from February 10th to 16th, later in Pune from February 17th to 23rd, and in Delhi from February 24th to March 2nd. While the first 3 will be ATP 100 events, each offering 100 ranking points along with a prize money of $17,500 US. The one in Delhi will provide 75 ranking points and $11,200 US as prize money to the singles champion. The same 4 cities had hosted Challenger Tour events earlier this year. Triumph in Chennai helped Sumit Nagal make his top 100 debut in the ATP rankings. And England white ball captain Jos Buttler will not play in the one-day international series against West Indies starting later this month. Buttler is yet to recover from a calf injury. However, the 34-year-old wicketkeeper batter will lead England's T20 side against West Indies. In Buttler's absence, all-rounder Liam Livingstone will be England's stand-in captain in the 3-match ODI series, which begins on the 31st of October. And on a softer side, 2 days after scoring his maiden Test century against New Zealand, rising India star Sarfaraz Khan has been blessed with a baby boy, bringing joy to his family and fans. This special moment adds to an already memorable week for the talented cricketer who has been making headlines for his impressive performances on the field. Sarfaraz demonstrated his exceptional batting skills during the rain-interrupted 4th day of the match in Bengaluru, scoring an impressive 150 runs. Well, the Times Square in New York City glittered with early Diwali celebrations over the weekend as hundreds of Indian community members and Americans came together to celebrate the Festival of Lights. DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh reports for more.
Celebration of Indian culture in the heart of New York. Times Square celebrates Happy Diwali. The Times Square in New York glittered with early Diwali celebrations last weekend as hundreds of Indian community members and Americans came together to celebrate the Festival of Lights. The event showcased vibrant performances from a variety of cultural groups. A special Diwali fair was also organized at the venue.
Well, it's a nice festival. I think that the energy is super good.
It's very significant. Diwali is the most important celebration for us. We come here every year. It's wonderful to be here.
Even being a non-Indian and being exposed to this, it's it's entertaining. It's wonderful to be amongst the culture and the community and learning something that we're not used to.
I see a lot of brands here. I see a lot of people from everywhere around the world. Everybody is just involved in celebrating Diwali at Times Square, which is quite crazy, right?
Great representation of culture coming together. Be it Indian or, people from Bangladesh as well, people from, South Asia, a lot of countries, and Americans. Everybody's together.
The Diwali celebrations at Times Square saw participation from an array of leaders from New York, including City Mayor Eric Adams, Jennifer Rajkumar from New York State Assembly, Senator Chuck Schumer, and Consul General of India in New York, Binay Pradhan, among others.
Diwali, which used to be
considered as an Indian festival, is now being celebrated at the Times Square, not only by the Indian and Indian American, but also by the American mainstream people. This is in a way recognition of the achievement of Indian American community. This is in a way recognition of the India-US relationship, and also the relationship that has become multifaceted.
Since 2013, Diwali at Times Square seeks to promote India's rich culture, art, heritage and diversity. Diwali has also been officially recognized as a school holiday in New York City last year. Around 5 million Indian origin people reside in the US, with persons of Indian origin constituting the third largest Asian ethnic group in the United States. Diwali at Times Square turned out to be a memorable event. People from different cultures came together to celebrate the Indian Festival of Light. A mini India was created in the heart of New York. With camera person S. Jaishankar, Shubhendu Ghosh for DT India in New York.
All right, that's all for this edition of DT India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DT India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DT India. I'm Lipakshi Kurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DT India News Hour.